The idea of cash being trash was something that was drummed into my head March of 2020 when I realized I had $500 million of cash and it was going to be deemed worthless it was already deemed worthless by the investing public. At one point, our stock, in essence, traded at 50% more than the cash level that we had in the balance sheet. So the conclusion was it was hopeless. Like when I concluded that saving in cash was hopeless, right? You have nothing to lose. So, this has become mainstream view now, right? I mean, Dalio says cash is trash. I think people are saying the 60-40 bond portfolio, equity bond allocation is a broken model. Inflation is here. Hyperinflation is the rest of the world. It's not going away. The Federal Reserve said there is no inflation and interest rates will be zero forever. And now the Federal Reserve says, well, if we could just keep inflation from increasing beyond 8% forever, we'll declare victory. When you're trying something and it's not working for year after year after year after year, and you're facing a mortality event, it's either a slow death or a fast death, or do something. Then you have to do something, or you got to sell yourself, right? Or just, commit economic suicide. So that's why we did what we did. My background in technology is digital transformation, and I watched how the digital transformation of music or maps or documents or relationships or communications created Amazon and Apple and Google and Facebook and trillion-dollar entities. And it was pretty clear to me that if you can digitally transform something, it wouldn't be just as good as the thing that you had. It would be 100 times better, maybe 1,000 times better. And that's pretty obvious today that, who remembers Kodak? What's Kodak's market cap? What is Xerox's market cap? Instagram, Facebook, all of these companies have just outstripped their 20th century analogs.
Yeah.
So people figured that out in 2020, but the paradigm shift is when you're in the business, you can't contemplate the digital transformation obsoleting you, or it's such a horrifying thought that you don't want to embrace it. Can you go from digitizing the Rand McNally Atlas to self-driving cars? Because the implication was the map is going to plug into your car and drive you where you want to go. And maybe even the map is going to tell you, don't go there, it's closed, and people hate it. Right. And that's what makes Google a $1 trillion company. And that's why Rand McNally, is not with us, right? I mean, it's so if you understand that, then I guess March 2020, the first thing to happen was getting slugged in the head with a 2x4. You're failing, your money's going to zero. And the second observation was, oh my, there's actually been a digital transformation of property, currency, and energy. And I didn't quite appreciate just how profound it was. I just knew I needed a solution. So I started looking for a digital gold. Right, I wanted a non-sovereign store of value asset. So it really it literally was a question of, do I buy $500 million worth of gold? Or in this case, it was $250 million of gold. Or do I buy $250 million of crypto gold? Mm-hmm. And if it's crypto gold, well, I think engineered synthetic gold is better than gold. And now I just had to parse through all of the hundreds of options to conclude that Bitcoin was synthetic gold. And that was enough to solve my problem in the near term, which, how do you got a mortality situation. You actually have to find synthetic gold. I find it. And that was Bitcoin. Now, what happened next was the exploding appreciation that there is a profound demand for two things in this world. One thing is digital property. And I classify Bitcoin as digital property, not just gold, right? Gold is the start, but if you go beyond gold and say a non-sovereign store of value, you might as well convert a second investment home. You're going to Airbnb, and you might as well convert land and buildings and any other store of value asset. So that's the first observation. And the second observation is there's a profound demand for digital currency. There are 8 billion people on the planet. And in the near term, They want a high velocity money, we'll call currency, a medium of exchange they can use to pay for things day by day, tax-free, in a compliant fashion, so that 8 billion people can trade with 100 million companies cross borders using a computer. So that's a need. And then the other need is those 8 billion people, if you look out more than 4 years, if you've got money you want to store for 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, 40 years, a lifetime, they want property. And buying a building in Africa, buying a bar of gold, buying a security, it's either not practical, it's not safe, or it's not efficient, right? When you buy property, you have to buy scarce, desirable property with a low maintenance cost, that's portable, that has no counterparty risk. And so what you have is a real huge demand for digital currency and digital property. And once you understand that, then you realize that this is the digital transformation of currency, property. And of course, I'm an engineer, so I see if it's a conservative thing, it's energy. So it's digital energy. And we never had, in the first wave, in the mobile wave, we never had digital energy, digital property, digital currency. And it's such a profound paradigm shift that everybody in the world using this stuff can't imagine what it means to be digitally transformed. So you've got this little turbulent shockwave where some people immediately get it, right? Some people got it 10 years ago. You got in the business early. Some people get it when they have a war, right? Wars cause you to get it. The war in Ukraine, the Russian sanctions, the pandemic, the war on COVID, the war on fill in the blank, right? Finally, that caused you to get it. And then there are people that will watch it and it'll evolve and they'll become like the next layer of adopters and then the late adopters and everybody gets it. I think what the world wants is the world wants a public, transparent, trustworthy entity to issue digital dollars that run on lightning rails to 8 billion smartphones at the speed of light for free.
Totally.
And then they want lots of different ways to get at that. And the real digital transformation is 8 billion people manipulating digital property and digital currency on their smartphone as a store of value, a medium of exchange, a unit of account. Think globally, right? The US dollar is going to become the unit of account in South America. Right? Before Bitcoin becomes the unit of account everywhere, the US dollar is going to be the unit of account. And that's going to be this dominant, the dominant trend of the next decade.